You see, some lives, they shine so brightly that even in tragedy, they become a reminder of who we ought to be. Now, we're talking about the father and daughter who recently lost their lives while heading to Jamaica to do good, to deliver care packages stemming from the damage or the devastation of Hurricane Melissa. That's just a sad story. Anyways, let's talk about it. Alright, welcome back to ThoughtsExpressedTV. It's your host McRob, and today we're back with a fresh episode, and this one hits the heart. Before we dive in, don't forget to click that subscribe button, click that like button. This way you'll be notified whenever we drop new content. Alright, so I wanted to take a moment to talk about the father and daughter who tragically lost their lives in a plane crash while traveling to Jamaica to deliver disaster relief supplies in the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa, right? You see, sometimes news stories aren't just headlines. Sometimes they're actually reminders. Sometimes they shake us up in a way that forces us to, to pause and reflect. And today, I just want us to sit with this story respectfully, thoughtfully, and from a human place. Now, a father and his young daughter were on a small private aircraft, and they were headed to Jamaica with the relief items, right? Supplies not for themselves, not for luxury, not for business, but for the people who are actually suffering. And somewhere along the journey, the plane encountered some sort of trouble and ended up crashing. All right, so that's 2 lives we lost. A mission cut short, but the heart behind that mission, that's what lives on. Very sad situation. And when a father decides to take his child on a mission like this, it tells you everything you need to know about, that father. He wasn't just dropping off supplies. He was actually teaching his daughter what compassion looks like, what service feels like, what humanity requires of us. And she wasn't tagging along. She was actually participating, being exposed to what it means to help others. Learning a lesson that many adults, many of us still haven't grasped yet. Their final moments weren't spent selfish or, chaotic. They were spent in service, right? And now, here's where I want to put some perspective on this, because this is the part that, that moved me the most, right? They died on purpose, not in the sense that they intended to die, but in the sense that, they died in pursuit of a purpose. So many of us, we live our lives, our entire lives, without ever doing something that directly impacts another human being. So many people talk about helping but never ever lift a finger, right? But this father and daughter, they were actually in motion, right? They were actively doing the work. And sometimes it makes you ask, what does it say about the world when people lose their lives doing the very thing we keep begging society to do more of? Which is helping one another. In essence, that's what we all wish and talk about and hope for, right? There's a painful irony there, but there's also a powerful message. When tragedies like this happen, we have 2 choices, right? We can either scroll past it and forget it in 2 days, or we can slow down and let it remind us of the kind of world we're supposed to be building. A world where compassion isn't rare. Where people don't have to risk their lives to make a difference. Where a father can show his daughter what kindness looks like without it costing him everything. But we also need to honor what they represented. They represented a form of humanity that's needed today, now, right this minute more than ever. Especially in light of Hurricane Melissa. Especially in a time where Jamaica is recovering, communities are hurting, and political arguments are louder, than the cries of the people who actually need the help. So this story cuts through all of that. It brings us back to the basics, people helping people. And even though their lives were lost, the message of what they tried to do cannot die with them. Their story should remind us that service is a gift, compassion is a calling. Even in tragedy, purpose can shine, right? And if we really want to honor their memory, then each of us should ask ourselves, what am I doing today to make someone else's life better, right? It doesn't require a private plane. It doesn't require grand gestures. Sometimes it's just a simple act, a donation, a message, a share, a hand extended to someone in need. You know, their impact didn't end with that crash. It started a conversation, and conversations create movements, right? So as we wrap up right now, and as we close off, I just want to send condolences, respect, and love to their family and loved ones. You know, Jamaica appreciates the heart they were bringing, right? The world needs more of their spirit. That's what we need in today's society. More. Enough of that. And sometimes we don't get to choose how long we stay on this earth, right? But we do get to choose what we stand for while we're here, at least, right? Now, this father and daughter, clearly they stood for kindness, and that's a legacy no tragedy can erase. All right? Anyways, if this story resonated with you, don't forget to share. And as I said earlier, subscribe, and just stay safe, stay alert. Peace.